All right, let's talk about something that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. Can a computer actually read the daily news and use it to predict where the stock market is headed? It's a wild idea, so let's dive in and see what's really going on.
I mean, that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? For as long as there's been a market, people have tried to crack the code. It's always been seen as part art, part science, and let's be honest, a whole lot of guesswork. But what if an AI could spot patterns that our human brains just completely miss?
So here's the secret sauce. The big breakthrough we're looking at today isn't some magical, super genius AI that just woke up one day. No, it's all about the food we're feeding it. The real magic ingredient is having better data. And not just a little better, we're talking a massive amount of it.
To really get why this is such a huge deal, you first have to understand the core puzzle of Wall Street. The market is famously hard to predict because it's driven by two totally different forces. On one hand, you've got the cold, hard numbers. And on the other, you've got, well, the vibe.
For the longest time, the traditional way to look at the market was just to crunch the numbers, stock prices, trading volumes, all that quantitative stuff. But analysts always knew something was missing. They were missing that vibe, the overall mood and feeling that you get from reading news headlines or scrolling through social media.
And trying to capture that vibe has pretty much been the holy grail for financial experts. See, it's easy for you or me to read a headline and instantly get the tone. But teaching a computer to do that reliably across millions and millions of articles, that seemed almost impossible. Well, until now.
A huge part of the problem was that the financial libraries researchers were working with were basically full of holes. You'd get a data set that had stock prices, but no news to go with it. Or maybe it had the news, but no way to connect it to the market data. And the biggest issue of all? None of them were even close to big enough to train a modern AI. It was like trying to solve a giant puzzle with half the pieces missing.
So, to fix this, researchers decided to build something brand new from the ground up. Think of it as a super library for financial AI. It's called FNSPID, and it was designed for one specific purpose: to finally connect the dots between the news and the numbers on a scale that's never been seen before.
So how in the world did they pull this off? The process is actually pretty genius. First, they gathered a massive history of stock prices spanning over 2 decades. Then, they collected an even bigger mountain of news articles. Next, they had an AI read and summarize every single article. And then, this is the really cool part, they used ChatGPT to give every single news summary a vibe score from 1 to 5. Finally, they lined it all up perfectly, so for any given company on any given day, they had the stock price and the news vibe side by side.
Let's just pause for a second and appreciate that number. We are talking about 15.7 million news records. And that's not just headlines. That is the full text of articles from major financial news sources. The sheer scale is just staggering.
And this incredible library of news doesn't just cover a handful of the usual big tech companies. Nope, it includes data for nearly 5,000 different companies listed on the S&P 500. This gives the AI an amazing panoramic view of pretty much the entire market.
So you have all this data for all these companies, and it stretches across 24 years. Think about everything that happened in that time. We're talking the dot-com boom and bust, the 2008 financial crisis, the rise of big tech, a global pandemic. Every major market high and low is captured right here in the data.
So what exactly is this sentiment score we keep talking about? It's really simple. It's just a number from 1 to 5 that ChatGPT assigns to each piece of news. A 1 means the news is very negative, a 5 means it's very positive, and a 3 is just neutral. It's basically a daily market vibe check for a company boiled down to a single, powerful number.
Okay, so this incredible super library of data is built. The next logical step, of course, was to find out if it actually worked. So the researchers put their AI to the test, training it on all this data to see if it could really learn to predict stock prices. And the results were, well, crystal clear. The more companies the AI learned from, the more accurate its predictions became. When it only learned from 5 stocks, its performance was just okay. But as they scaled up the data to 25 stocks and then 50, its accuracy just shot through the roof. It's proof that the massive size of this new data set is a true game changer.
But it wasn't just about the amount of data, it was the kind of data. The researchers said it themselves. Adding that vibe check, that news sentiment, made their most advanced AI even smarter. That AI is a type of model called a transformer, the same tech that powers tools like ChatGPT. So adding the news vibe literally made the AI better at its job. The news really mattered.
And this chart here is basically the market's mood ring.
You can see, sure, a lot of news is neutral, but look at that. A huge slice, more than half of all news, carries either a positive or negative feeling. That's a massive amount of emotional information that was just being ignored before, but that an AI can now dig into to find patterns.
Okay, so this is all incredibly cool stuff. But what does it all mean? An AI that can read the news is fascinating, for sure. But why does this really matter? What's the big picture here?
Well, the possibilities this unlocks are just huge. We're talking about smarter AI financial assistance for everybody. We're talking about new tools that could spot major financial risks before they even happen, just by analyzing the tone of the news. But fundamentally, this allows us to train a whole new generation of AI that can understand the world using both language and numbers at the same time. And that is a massive leap forward.
And that brings us to one final big thought. For a long time, we've believed that understanding subtle things like mood, tone, and sentiment was a uniquely human skill. But this research shows that AI is learning how to decode it. So, if an AI can master the mood of the stock market, what other complex, emotional, uniquely human task will it learn to master next? Definitely something to think about.